Welcome back to Ta-da! 3D printing.
Everything's built. So now we are just gonna load the filaments. This is the final chapter. 11, first flight. Difficulty is moderate, 17 steps. So we need to have filament step 1, filament preparation. Please prepare at least 5 different PLA filaments and cut off the ends to form a round, sharp tip. They must have this tip. They must not be curled, all kinds of different things. No dents in the first 15 inches or so to make sure that everything grabs okay. Step 2, suggested layout is pretty much what we have right now. It does say that they start from the left, so this one's going to be 1, 2, on and on. Okay, we're going to go to filament, preload to MMU, and we're going to preload all of them. Okay, I'm going to start with some white filament, and I do have kind of a ridiculous end on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one like sharp and then come back on the other side and cut another little lip on it, another little angle, so that it's kind of just, it's not just one solid slice, it's 2 slices, so that it's just pointy. And I want to put this in 1, so we need to put it here. What I don't love about these is it's kind of tricky to hold on and slip this into the tube while you have it above. And you kind of have to hold it here until you get up to the next section. So hand feed, I don't know, 2 feet, so. And then I need to make sure it's gonna sit there right. Okay. Then let's look at how this buffer works. I need to take out the first cassette. And every time you load filament, unload, change things, you have to come through here, pull this, and then feed the other side. So it came out this side. I need to, by hand, make sure that it takes the loop and goes the rest of the way. I already have it going and it's you can hear it running just a little bit. It's waiting for the first one. And then I can tell that it was taking it. And it's kind of just, okay. So that was the first one. So there's a little bit left. So I'm going to push that back so that this is as snug as possible. Okay. So put this back in. It doesn't really matter which direction you go. I like to keep it the same though, so it doesn't get too tangled up. And now I can do the second one. Same thing. I'm going to take one sharp end that it already had and do one more on the opposite side. And if you do too much, just do another one. Because I want it to be a sharp end. Okay, now I can load 2. And again, I mean, even if you put it in there and then set it down, how are you going to get it the rest of the way? So you kind of have to hold it up here until you overshoot it a little bit, because you need to be able to grab it on the other side. Then you can set this down, make sure it's gonna roll. All right, then I can grab 2. You can see it kind of poking out a little bit here. I usually just extend my arm the whole way out, and that's usually just a little bit too much. So anyways, feed it through. You'll feel it catch and start pulling it in. Well, you should. Come on. Okay, that one doesn't want to catch, so I'm just gonna take it out again and re-snip it. And then put it back through. Make sure nothing gets tangled here. Okay, and you can see it's starting to take that, and it kind of just pulls it through and does a little bit. Whatever's left, tighten back up. And I have to be careful with this because I don't want to just pull it right back out again. Okay, I'll keep going. Let's do a black. Okay, we should use some filaments since we're here, right? That one was better. And if you do have a little extra, it's not a big deal. This is that recycled filament by Filaments. This one's called Risotto, which is kind of a fun creamy color. Everything's PLA. Pretty much everything I do is PLA. Very rarely do I do anything else. Yes, all of my filament is curly. I don't know any filament that's not curly. I know they say that you shouldn't have curly, but it is what it is. This one's not catching. I mean, you can tell when it catches, it will pull. This one's not, so I need to pop it back out, re-snip the ends. We'll see if that works or not. Of course, you do need to be careful you don't crease it as you're... Okay, I feel that one went, yep. Okay. One more. This one is Prussian Mint Green in Simply Green. Again, that one is not catching. So what, 2 of 5 caught on the first time, everything else I had to redo? Which makes me a little nervous if it's gonna catch when it's swapping. Come on. This one feels really curly. Okay. There. Okay. All of them are preloaded. I need to make absolutely sure that they all can turn okay. Yeah, they look good. Step 7 is a loading test. Go to the menu settings, loading test, or below it, because we are combining everything on this chapter, we go to control and loading test. So it's not on settings in the MK4, it's on control. And loading test. All right, I'd like to test them all, but we'll start with one and I'm gonna zoom back out. Okay, control, loading test, test filament 1. So I'm gonna do one where it zooms out and then the other one will look a little closer at the printer. But you can't see a whole lot because it's white, but I did see it go through. Okay, so what happened is it pulled the filament in from here. Now let's get closer. It pulled the filament in. Right now they're all sitting kind of here, but it pulled it the last little bit in and it checked that the probe on here kicked on. So I'll show you on the next one how it looks here. So we're gonna do test filament 2. But the other thing is that when it kind of brings it back out, when it pulls it back, that extra amount is held in the buffer. So you can kind of see a little bit right here that the white, you can see that it's been loaded and then unloaded. So that's the purpose of that, is to kind of catch that slack that it needs to load all the way and then bring back without it messing up your spools. So now let's do the second one. And with it being gray, you can probably see, yeah, you can see it come through here. So it loads all the way into there until it catches the sensor, and then it'll unload again. Okay, so now you can see I've got gray as well. So now I want to show you on 3 how it looks on the screen. Okay, so we're going to test filament 3. And what we're looking for is this turned on as it pushed it through the first section, the first filament sensor, and then the second one came on as well when it went into the extruder. So it wants to make sure that one, it's actually going to grab the filament, and that each of the sensors are working. And then they go back off as it unloads again. So let's do that one more time. So that one came on. And now that one's on. I think you can see that okay. Then that one's back off as it's pulling out. And then this one will be off as well. Okay. Then let's do that last one for 5, and you can see that all I have to do is do test filament because we've already preloaded them. It already knows that it's there, so it can go through its whole process and kick it back out. And if there's an issue with any of these, it's going to give you an error message. It's going to tell you something's wrong. So all these are good to go. We're ready to print. Step 9 is the Z-axis calibration. This only applies to the MK3S. The MK4 automatically does this for you. And then step 10 is running a test print. It's recommended to first print the sheep, the multi-material G code that Prusa has provided. There are 3 G codes here. The first one is for the MMU2, the second is for the MK3, so we want this third one that's the MK4. And once you've downloaded that, it is just a G code, so you're going to need to copy and paste it onto your USB. It's not going to be a 3MF file that opens that you can mod in any way. Something that I do really like on the MK4 with this MMU3 is the ability to do tool mapping. So if I don't want to use the filament on 1 and 2, I want to use 3 and 4, I can replace them. Whereas before on the MK3, MMU3, I would have to swap the filaments, which is a pain because you saw how long it took to load the filaments. So to be able to just switch them around is going to be really nice. There's also a spool join option on this, which will be really handy in the future as well. This test sheet takes about an hour and a half, so it does give you plenty of time to look through the handbook and learn a little bit about how the different multicolor prints work. This print worked through the whole process without any interventions. My dogs did bump it at one point, so that the screen does move a little bit on my camera, but I didn't have to adjust any errors. There was nothing that I had to do to interfere, which is huge. It really needs to be able to run on its own, especially with just 2 colors. And this is how it turned out. I went with the Galaxy Black Prusa mint and the green that I had loaded. I didn't really feel like changing out the colors, but I really like how this black, the Galaxy Black, turned out, the kind of shimmer in it, and I don't see any strings or any like mist spots. And this one on the right, the white and black, is what I had printed on my MMU3 with my MK3, and there was a little bit of color bleed of the black into the white, but this one, the MK4, turned out really good. Let me know your thoughts on this MMU3 build. Thanks for watching.